Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast explaining Pusherman. Now check it out. The other day I put up a podcast and it was really just mostly a song, right? It's called Pusherman, right? And it's by this group called the Keys of Knowledge. They were, active back in like around 2000 or something in the Washington, D.C. area, right? And Pusherman, anybody who listened to it, it was basically about a woman getting turned out by a guy or talking about how she was turned out by a guy, right? And I said I wanted people to chime in on it, what they think was going on. And I said I would heart the comment. Now, some people, I'm going to tell you the truth, everybody had a good idea, but the only comments I hearted were the ones that mentioned the term drug or pleasure or really drug or addiction, right? Because that's what it is. It was basically talking about a woman addicted to a man. Now, I labeled it the secret to the game because that's really what's going on out here. See, understand one thing. And this is something I talked about, amazingly. I rarely see this talked about. In fact, the last person to talk about this publicly was Tariq Nasheed in his book, The Art of Macking. Right? And he used the term euphoria, right? My mentor, Master Yao, used the term romantic intoxication, right? Whatever the case, the real deal out here is that the overwhelming majority of women are looking to be intoxicated by a man. Let me say that again. The overwhelming majority of the women out here looking to be intoxicated by a man. There's always an exception, and usually the exceptions are either a woman who is severely sexually repressed, and even then, if a person know the right buttons to push, he can boom, get in there. Or they just older women and stuff who actually learn their life lessons, right? And also have a tendency to think in a more rational manner. And even them, they really all women have it in them. It's just some women are able to fight it better than most. But most women go for it. Now, like when a woman's intoxicated, they'll say they're in love, but it really they should just say they're in lust, right? And what it is just the different chemicals going on in their body that just gives them a good high. They feel good, right? Endorphins, oxytocin. All of those and stuff is a combination of those things, right? So what women are actually see, a lot of guys got the game twisted. I mean, that's all right. That's okay because you have a lot of stuff out here that's being shared publicly and, the stuff works. So a lot of guys don't dig past it. But if you really want to get into it, women choose and reject men based on how much that guy makes them feel that intoxication, right? And hence the song Pusherman. He was pushing a drug. Like my favorite line from it was when she said, instead of tapping her arms, she taps her thighs. She wants that drug. So when women encounter a guy, right? When women encounter a guy, they are looking for that. It's always been said women decide in the first 5 minutes or anywhere from the first few seconds to the first 5 minutes whether or not they are going to date a man. That's because they're looking to see if he's intoxicating them. That's it. They can't tell his character. They can't tell how much money they got. Even if he's wearing expensive clothing, that just means he's wearing expensive clothing, right? They don't know how good he'd be in bed anyway. They don't know how big, unless he's wearing some gray sweatpants. They don't know how, big his eggplant is. The only thing they know is he looked good, right? And I'm going to get into that looks thing in a second, right? But that's all they know. But what they trying to feel, let me emphasize the word feel. They trying to feel that buzz, And it's similar to like when you hit that good joint or you drink that alcohol or, as I'm going to point out in a second, they get that good chocolate. And I don't mean that in a racial term, right? Now, for those familiar with my work, they know I split men into two categories, select and non-select. And then into two further categories, Mr. Goodbar and the Masked Man are select. the gamesman, and the nice guy are non-select. And those are not arbitrary, but they are based on their ability to bring women that intoxication. Now, like Mr. Goodbar. Now, I've said this, right? Now, even though I'm a big proponent of hitting the gym, getting some muscles and all of that, which will improve. One of the reasons I say the muscle piece, and I'm going to talk about that in a podcast later this week. But the reason I say the muscle piece, it will improve your attraction to a woman. And depending on the aesthetic of those muscles in your body and stuff, it actually can put them in a state of intoxication, right? But if you really take a hard look at the guys who are bringing it, all the guys don't have necessarily muscular body. You know, some might be a little bit overweight. Some might be very slim, right? And most really probably wouldn't be considered that handsome to a woman. You know, they might just have average looking faces. And that's one of the reasons sometimes you see women going crazy over a guy or walking with a guy and you like, what's up? And you like, he ugly. Even women saying it, but he's bringing that particular woman some intoxication, right? That's the key to women. That's a real key. Everybody trying to figure them out. And even some women don't realize that. And, you know, just real quick before I get deeper into that, because usually when I say these things, first thing somebody come on here, that's why black women messed up. Like dudes, and I might just delete the comments, but let me just say this real quick. The first women who hit me to this, it wasn't even, you know, reading it in a book or getting it from a mentor or anything. They just gave some terms to it. It was women, white women who hit me to that. Let me say that again. It was white women. It was like not just one either. It was several who hit me to that. It wasn't until years later that some black women started talking about it to me. And they probably knew it, but the white women were just open with it. That's all women, all over the world. Let me say that again. That's all women. They're all looking for that thing. They're looking for that feel good. They're looking for that drug. They split men according to their ability to bring it. Now, I mentioned the 4 different categories of men. Mr. Goodbar, he knows which buttons to push to get that drug in there. In fact, he's like a drug dealer. If he's slick about it, he'll give a little taste of it. And like give it a little sample, you know, put a little bit on his pinky and stuff, let her sniff it and everything. You know, give her a little shot of it, right? And then he'll chill out, but then, you know, she feeling good, she come back for more. Then he give her, you know, and then, you know, he's turning her on before he even has sex. Then when he has sex, boom. Because I'm going to tell you how deep that is. That's why a woman, she could have a guy who's handsome, tall, right? You know, bringing in money and everything, and still cheat with some guy don't have half of what that guy got. But the guy is bringing that intoxication. And trust me, I've seen this happen. In fact, I had one woman, right? I haven't told a Rom story, Uncle Rom's story. I had one woman, and all I was using her for was sex. I'm just going to be real with you. I ain't take her out, anything. Right? I think I spent $2 on it by accident. I think I had like a flower or something for Valentine's Day for somebody else. And it was like, it wasn't even like a red rose or anything. It was like for a friend of mine, because I used to do stuff like that. Right? And didn't get to see the friend. And since it wasn't a romantic thing, I say, oh yeah, here's a flower. It's like an afterthought. Yet this same woman had guys who had more money than me, more status, and since at the time I wasn't lifting as much, probably better bodies. But she said and she even said they would say the right things, but she kept messing with me. That's because I was bringing the intoxication. Now, that's the key to the character I call Mr. Goodbar. You know, he's the drug, he's the pusher. That's why you can get a seemingly intelligent woman who will have a baby or get pregnant by a guy who already has 6 other baby mamas. And that happens a lot. Or a woman who otherwise got some good sense will be the side piece for some dude who publicly is happily married. And she know he ain't gonna leave. Or that's why some women, they'll share, man. They like, screw that. They be in like a poly triad, you know. Shout out Scorpio, you know what I mean. They share them because they getting that pleasure. They getting that drug. You know, they like, you know what, we don't have to fight over it. Just share it. That's how it is. That's that woman could be married and man, that guy bringing the drug, he can call her up 1 a.m. and she'll be out. She'll tell her husband, "Oh, I'm going to get a Subway sandwich." Yeah, I will leave that particular subject alone. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But seriously, shoot. I had one dude I knew. I mean, I ain't gonna call, of course I ain't gonna call his name. He said he had to break up from his woman. She had to be at work at 6 a.m. She'd be leaving at 3. And then she was only 10 minutes away. Nah, Mr. Goodbar come calling, boom. Shoot, that dude got more control in somebody's household than the husband. Because they addicted. That's why a woman will leave a guy. She will leave a guy who got a big 6-room mansion, got cars. She don't have to work. And they'll go mess with some guy living in a poor neighborhood, and they'll have sex on an air mattress. Not even a clean air mattress. On an air mattress. It might not even have sheets on it. And she'll have sex with him there. She'll come there. And if she really addicted, she'll leave. She'll leave her husband. Because women just lose their mind. They under their influence. Right? So that's Mr. Goodbar. Like I said, and it's not even predicated. It's more of an energy thing. In fact, to get an idea about that type of energy, I'm going to put a link in the description box for this book called Swoon. Y'all should read that. That's going to give you a great perspective because Mr. Goodbar might or might not look that great. Might or might not. Some do, some don't. Right? But what they all have in common is they figured out how to get a woman addicted. Right? But then you got the masked man, right? Now, the thing is, they can bring some of that intoxication. They can deliver some of that drug, but it's a cut. It's a watered down drink. It's the, it's the herb mixed in with something, right? They can cut it. It's a little bit. They can give a tiny bit of it. Now, the thing with them, in order to do it, they do have to have money and status. And I'm going to hit y'all with something. Looks too. See, here's the thing. And maybe I need to do a separate video on this. When people seemingly get women because of their money and status, it really ain't. They really ain't getting it. They dealing with a hoe. The dude gotta look good. So the dude gotta be handsome. He gotta be tall. He gotta be all that stuff people think. But see, a lot of people don't see what Mr. Goodbar doing because Mr. Goodbar up in the shadows. So you ain't gonna see him. He coming through that back door. And he'll probably never, he digging down some women and you'll never see him in public with them. And that's deep to the point he can walk past that woman in public and not say a word. Because, of course, the woman walking around with her husband and kids, right? So, and the men in the non-select, they just there because they don't deliver the intoxication. They don't, right? Like the gamesman, the only way he gets women, honestly, he usually get an easy woman or somebody who really can't get the first two, and she just wants some mate, just some dick. It ain't even good dick. She just some women. Honestly, a lot of people tell themselves the wrong thing when they think some women just don't want some random dick. They just need some dick, so they'll mess with the gamesman for that. But he ain't necessarily Mr. Goodbar, because even then, for him to get to that point, he gotta be persistent as hell. Like he gotta be persistent, and she can't have any other options. But if she got a single other option in that select group, she'll take it. So, and then the nice guy's problem is he don't bring it. He's too polite with the woman. He really is. See, the nice guys really don't treat a woman as a sexual being. That's the problem. He don't flirt. He do all the nice stuff and think the woman should want to have sex with him. It don't work that way. Right? He do all that polite stuff, right? He'll be the provider and all that, and that's good. A woman could appreciate. They might settle with it, but it's not bringing them. That really don't bring bone rattling sex. Because I'm gonna tell you what, with that, if you intoxicate a woman in such a way, you don't have to do shit for her. You might not even have to talk to her that much. That's how deep it is. You don't have to do shit for her. You don't even have to be nice in most cases. That's why some dudes mistakenly think you can be an asshole and get away with mistreating a woman. But if you're a nice guy or a gamesman being mean to a woman or trying to put her down, she might, at best, she'll walk away. Some will stand and curse you out. And others, they'll call their cousins Pookie and Ray Ray come fuck your ass up. Right? That's because they ain't bringing the intoxication. Now, a woman will put up with a bad dude or some dude dogging it if he's bringing her that feeling. She'll put up with it. Then afterwards, she'll be like, damn, why I keep messing with him? Till about a couple weeks later, she need that fix again. She started tapping her thighs. Right? So that understand, if you can understand that whole intoxication thing, you understand everything. Right? Now, as far as how to bring it, well, y'all need to read my stuff. Y'all need to listen to what I'm actually saying. Because it's not a technique, it's a mindset that in order to bring it. Mr. Goodbar is a mindset. Like, I had a young man, and I just elevated him to my inner circle. Now, he's one of the few people I mentor. I coach some people, and I mentor some people. He's one of the few people I mentor because he elevated. You know, I listened to him talk. He told me everything was happening with him. I said, okay, this dude done took it to another level. So he got direct access. He can text me anytime, call me anytime, right? But he elevated because he listened to what I'm doing. If you watch the videos and really watch them, and don't just watch them just for information, but just allow it to seep into your personality, you'll start changing. It's kind of like that thing from the old Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. Or if you saw the Jaden Smith version, you know, take off the coat, put on the coat. All right? You can get there. But that's the key. If you understand that, you understand the intoxication, you understand everything. Everything else is, quite frankly, just window dressing. Like, if you can't intoxicate, that's why a dude who look like he got everything will fail with women, because he's not intoxicating them. It's like I said, looks help. Even a great body helps, but at the best, those are lures. I think that's where a lot of guys think it. They think it's automatic. Nah, that's a lure, and a body can, to some extent, depending on the aesthetics of it, can arouse the woman. But then you still got to interact with her, and that's where the intoxication come in. You know, it's the communication part. It's you're talking to her, you're flirting with her in such a way. Right? And it's a craft. It ain't something that you can't, it's not about a book thing. It's like actually something you have to develop. And you have to learn. You have to get out there. That's the only way to learn. You have to get out there and practice it. That's the only way. It's just like you ain't gonna listen to this video and go out there and do it, or watch somebody's stuff. And I don't care what any like guru or coach tell you. You gotta go out there and do it. And quite frankly, if you're not at that point now, it might take you a few years to do it, but depending on what you want, you can get there. So anyway, that's what being a pusherman is about. Delivering that good drug. Anyway, that's it for now, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.